It's time for us to head to look at the wider Wimmera report, and it is Scotty Stewart from the Warwick Herald that joins us. G'day, Scotty. How you going?
Yeah, going well, thanks, Wayne.
Well, what a week it's been. I mean, upsets in some degree, but probably not really in the context of the way this Wimmera season's been. I mean, the first big upset was the Southern Valley Giants not playing finals football. Then we thought, gee, Dimboola have had such a magnificent season after coming from a suspension from the previous season of 3 games behind, that gee, they're going to come real strong in the finals. And it seems like when we think the side that might be strong in the finals, firstly, Southern Valley Giants, they're out. Next thing, Dimboola, now they're out. It's just a real topsy-turvy season.
It certainly is, isn't it? It's, we sort of reported there that we're into one of the closest final series in a number of years. This final series, but last weekend didn't really pan out that way. Was it? A couple of nearly one-sided games in the end, and yeah, the Jimmy game you just mentioned there, and I'm thinking that Dimboola, they'd, as you said there, they'd had their restrictions at the start of the year, but they made it into that top 5 and looked like they were going to cause some trouble. But they had a bit of some bad news during the week. Apparently, the joint coach Jack Lamp was rubbed out for that game last weekend from an incident prior in the season, and maybe that unsettled the lineup a fair bit, because they didn't show a great deal there with against the Demons. But I think you might have reported last week about them. They're just in pretty good form. Horsham, they've won those last couple of games to get into the final series, and now they're right amongst it, aren't they? Last weekend with that win over Dimboola was a good start for them.
Oh, fantastic stuff. I mean, Dimboola's form leading into finals was magnificent. They were the side that everyone was saying, well, gee, who's going to knock Dimboola out? Dimboola just continued to win. They have, I think, 4 wins in a row prior to that match. But maybe because some of the wins were against the sides below them. Their last loss was against Stawell back in round 14, where they lost by 4 points in a low score at Central Park in a very wet day, 4-14 to 4-8. So this is their, after 5 weeks of football, suddenly they've come up against an absolute red-hot Horsham D's. I think that's made a massive amount of difference in the end. I think Lant also is a big issue there, but the D's too red-hot, and Deke Roberts red-hot with 5. Absolutely back to his best and fairest winning form of both his best and fairest in both Horsham District and in Wimmera footy.
Yeah, 5 goals by Deke was pretty good effort there with set him alight by the sounds of it. But it was a bit of a dour struggle, low scoring for a start. But you can just see that Horsham were just putting an edge on an advantage over the Roos, and as mentioned there with Deke Roberts kicking 5, Josh Meavers kicking 3. So they had the firepower up forward there, and you get Deke Roberts firing all cylinders, and good on the left and the right, and very good last weekend with those 5 goals.
He was. What about Minyip Matoa? They know how to win finals. They didn't let Stawell have a sniff. This game was done in the second quarter, I reckon, when Minyip Matoa at 9-1 to 2-5 at half time. They were magnificent.
Yeah, exactly. They put that game to bed pretty early, didn't they? With what we said about last week, these two sides have met twice throughout the season and been 1-point wins for the Boroughs, and I think the Boroughs might have been getting sick of having the close battles at the end of the game, because they put them to the sword in the first quarter, and Jay McGrath up there up forward just providing a huge target, and he's ended up with 6, but I think he had probably 3 in that, pretty early in the match in the first quarter. And as you said there, by half time, 9 goals 1 to 2 goals 5, and that's a long way back for the Stawell boys. They did. They had a bit of a crack in that third quarter, and 3 goals to 1. But the Boroughs are able to steady, and Jay up there, up forward, and just continuing some pretty good late season form. That's his the second successive bags of 6 goals over his last 2 matches. So he's in red hot form, and you go through the best player list through there. And if those boys are going to be up and about in the best player list, well, the Boroughs are going to be pretty tough to beat, and as it proved last week against Storr, where they pretty well dominated that match.
They did. And in the reserve grade, Minyip Matawa, again, these Minyip Matawa boys will be playing this weekend, so they've got a very, very good depth in it. The Horsham D's that were lost to Ararat in the qualifier last weekend, and the Horsham Saints eliminated Stall in the other match, so the Saints get through in that grade. And we just have a quick look there at who's playing whom. The Minyip Matawa play Ararat this weekend at Horsham City, and the Horsham D's play the Horsham Saints at Alexandra down at Ararat. So a couple of good reserves grade games there this weekend after some pretty good performances last week.
Yeah, the Ararat game, not going to have a Horsham. I think that might have been the upset through the reserves ranks to set up that battle this weekend, and Horsham Saints probably were favoured to take that game against Stall, and did so pretty comfortably. But yeah, that'll be a good battle this weekend, especially at the Saturday game when the Boroughs face up against Ararat. So that'll be a huge weekend with both seniors and reserves.
Will be. 17s, the Saints are way too good for Ararat at Dimboola on the Saturday match. That means they qualify for that second semi. But Dimboola were tried absolutely hard as they possibly could, and an absolute thrilling result. Minyip Matawa 7-9-51 get home against Dimmy 7-6-48 in the elimination. Bad luck there for Dimmy.
Yeah, they have a battle, tough, close game, only 3 points in it, and obviously anyone's game right to the final siren, and didn't quite fall the way of the roof. But Minyip Matawa, that's just it shows their depth right through, isn't it? Now they seniors reserves and the under 17s are pushing pretty deep into the finals.
It does. Now, what about this? In the 14s, the two matches on the weekend were decided by 1 point in the qualifier, the elimination by 2 points. Nil 5-5-35 beat Warwick Eagles 5-3-33. Your lads, what a performance. And both sides probably, I don't think anyone expects in the 14-year-olds that either of these two sides can go too much further. But this was fantastic stuff from both clubs. It was on right from the start.
Yeah, nothing separated, did it? It looked through the scoreboards there, and it was up by a point at half, 2 points at 3, and then maintained it to the final siren. The young Eagles lads, they battled pretty hard, but and that last quarter must have been a good battle with both of them putting 2 goals through for the term. But yeah, just fell 2 points short, unfortunately. As you mentioned, the one that would have opened up the final series on the Saturday, Ararat and Horsham Saints. I think that might be a bit of a prelude to the evenness of that grade with 1 and 2 point victories. So a really good way to start the final series.
Was certainly. Young Ryland Snyder kicked a couple of goals to be the difference for Neil, and Andrew Clee was good too. Sammy Williamson, Maxi Inska and Tommy Penny were the kids that did well. Charlie Martin, a couple leading the way for Warwick Eagles, nearly turned it on its head, but it wasn't to be. And as we head to the big one this weekend in the finals race, there's 2 games to be played in Wimmera football, and it's the second round of finals. That the qualifier has been done. It is the second semi-final, and Ararat play Minyip Matawa. I'm just sliding towards Minyip Matawa. Right? They seem to get the job done in the finals time, and this is at the Horsham City Oval. And I know that there's a fair bit of to be said that the City Oval is a smaller oval compared to the big Ararat Park.
Yeah, well, both teams, isn't it, with Ararat and Minyip Matawa. They both have big grounds and like the wide open spaces. But yeah, coming into City Oval to host this one, we played in fine conditions, and it'll be a cracker, this one. It's really interesting, this matchup, I reckon, because you got Ararat, who finished on top of the ladder as a minor premiers, but they sat out the final round of the home and away season with a bye, and then obviously they sat out last weekend. So Matty Wilder would have had his plans up his sleeve. He would have known that this was coming probably a couple of weeks out from the end of the season. So he would have had his boys pretty much up and going on the training track. But training track compared to match day footy, well, they always say that in finals, that they can come to a final and if someone says the one team's hard fit, the other team's coming in fresh. Well, this is one of those games, isn't it, where Ararat they haven't played for probably, basically 3 weeks, and again, depends on how they hit the game is what I'm trying to get to there, because they come out firing, fair enough, but if you're lacking that match fitness, who knows what happens. So you make a good point with Wimmera. They'll be right up there with the finals, the way they to take this game on, because they have been playing and they've been playing some pretty good footy.
What about Horsham D's? I reckon they'll nail Stall. Stall's form the last few weeks has fallen away, and the D's are on a roll right now, and I think they can go through Stall. Well,
it was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? The last game around, wasn't it, when they knocked over Stall by 4 points and they got into that fifth spot. So they're going to take a bit of confidence out of that game there. And Geordie Burke, I think he's got his kids pretty well firing on all cylinders here. And as we said before, the game last week against Dimmy that eliminated them from the finals race, just producing some good footy, just good players across the board. And we mentioned Deke Roberts there before, but Tyler Blake was the one last week who ended up high up in the best player list for the D's. And you got your Ben Lakin and Billy Carbon down back, and Rona Comboy, whether he's back or forward. They've got some good players going to go through there, so it's really going to put the pressure on the Schoolboys. So I probably do agree with you with the winner of that game, but it's going to be another. Expect to be another close game, but maybe it's the Demons. They've got a fair bit of momentum.
They certainly have some momentum across the grades. It's finals footy time, Wimmera football, and the second round of finals, a semi-final action. Somebody will be eliminated this weekend, Stall or the Horsham D's, and Vinyat Matawa and the boys from down at the Ararat looking forward to having a chance to get into the grand final on the first hit. It is Wimmera football, and Scotty Stewart from the Warwick Herald. We look forward to your comments next week as we take a look deeper into the finals.
Yeah, no worries. Good on you.